for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Only ones hooked up though. You must have done that.
Let's do it.
15 minutes, which is pretty fast.
Maybe.
I'm ready for roll call whenever you got sound, okay?
I think I got it.
Okay.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we need to approve the corrected agenda, and the correction is in the consent agenda. The date for the minutes is August 22nd, and was showing August 8th. So I need a motion to approve the corrected agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Grover, seconded by Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next on my agenda is an oath of office. Deb, would you come and join me, please? You're gonna have 3 papers to sign when we're done. I'll give everyone a copy of it. Okay. Raise your hand. I, your name, do solemnly swear
I, Deborah Henry, solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the position of Fourth Ward City Council member
discharge all duties of the position of Fourth Ward City Council member
in the City of Independence,
in the City of Independence,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now and hereafter required by law.
Great, thank you. You have 3 of them to sign, 1 of them you get to keep. Oh, you got it, okay, sorry.
Have a handshake for the paper.
Okay, you wanna show her?
You got your certificate up?
Certificate?
Hold on.
I want these off.
Are you comfortable, buddy? Are we ready?
No.
Ready?
No.
Did you go last year?
No, I go about once or twice.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was thinking, might have seen you there one year, I mean, this will be the third one.
That was
Yeah,
for me.
the last one I went to was Dubuque.
Careful of the peanut gallery.
Lot to learn, I tell you, wants to.
Yeah, yeah, it really is good.
Oh, it's just, enjoy it, well, enjoy the coffee, so I was doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is-
I thought it was he, I thought it was he.
And, an idea is more.
Probably all of that.
Yeah, so you get a lot of, thing I get a kick out of is everyone has a different opinion on
You what?
different opinions on how to do things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, finally. Still slow. Yeah, but it's your job to keep, Austin awake over there.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. This is the time time set aside for visitors and public comments only on topics of city business other than those listed on tonight's agenda. Please understand the council cannot take any action on your comments at this meeting due to requirements of the Open Meetings Law, but may do so at a future meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to state their comment, and we thank you for your cooperation. And the only name I have on is Richard Wormouth. If you would come forward and give your address, please, and name.
Richard Wormuth, 812 3rd Street, Southeast, Independence Island. It's kind of hard to limit a preacher to 5 minutes, but I want to let you know.
We got the timer going.
Good. Might be a trend. I just first off want to congratulate Deb and welcome her to the council position, and look forward to her input into the council. I also want to commend everyone here not to sit during the Pledge of Allegiance. I thank you very much for being very respectful. And I only had one thing. I just wanted to ask a question. I'm not trying to cause any rifts or anything like that. Just a question. Would the council consider, with the pledge, maybe starting also with a prayer? And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is accept and approve the consent agenda that says motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following minutes of the August 22nd, 2016 regular meeting, city financial statements for the month of August, and Independence Fire Department financial statements for the month of August. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, second by Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Deb, you might want to take your microphone and bring it closer to you. That way you can talk right into it. We know I know you did vote, so. Next on the agenda is to approve the claims.
Make a motion.
Motion by Grover, seconded by Vaughn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on my agenda is Officer Lau for the code enforcement update.
Just thought I'd stop in and give you guys an update. Still actively working on junk properties and junk vehicles. Hopefully this week we're finished up with the property we started last year before snow started to fly. That turned out being a couple properties rolled into one, so it took a little bit longer. But hopefully this week we'll have that one completely finished up. The only thing really new since the last time was we did put out a press release on tree trimming and brush trimming on sidewalks. We've had complaints from walkers that have had to go out and around and duck down while they're trying to walk, which takes away from the enjoyability of being able to walk around our fair city. So since we've put that press release out, I've had probably a dozen different properties that I've spoke with the residents, and with only a day or two, those problems were taken care of and the trees were trimmed. So I'd encourage anybody in the city, if they are out walking, don't hesitate to call or just shoot us an address and I can go by and check on it and speak to the occupants. So other than that, I don't have anything else further unless anybody else has any questions or concerns that have came up in the last month.
I still occasionally see different people putting their grass in the streets, and I keep thinking, no, don't do that. But I appreciate the citizens.
It's getting less and less
Yes, it is.
as
I appreciate
we
the
go
people
on
that
the
are paying
second year,
attention,
so.
yes,
But every year people just might need to be reminded, I guess.
yeah.
What about these walnuts and the tree hangs over the street? And it's on the parking to begin with, the walnut tree is on the parking.
Well, it'd be the same as leaves. I mean, we can't penalize anybody for leaves from their tree, blowing into the roadway.
But they're-
But
that'd
if
be a
they're
bigger-
purposely taking the walnuts and they're raking them out into the yard, out into the street, then yeah, it'd definitely be an issue. But I know for bikers and everything else that, are going down the road, those walnuts can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it'd be a Mother Nature type thing that, unless they're purposely placing it into the roadway.
Can you give us a breakdown of how many properties or vehicles in certain parts of town that you've gotten cleaned up or taken care of? or-
I could, it would maybe have to be at the next meeting, I'd have to take a look at, all the numbers and stuff, and to be able to divide it out into different towns. I mean, that's gonna be time consuming, but, that's something that if the council wants me to present, by all means, I can, but.
Are you asking by ward or by
Well, there's just
size of
comments from
town?
people in the public that say, I don't see anything in my neighborhood getting cleaned up. And so I think if you hear like, hey, we got 5 places in the northeast part of town cleaned up, and two, you know, you probably can't give names with confidentiality and stuff and addresses, but
I would say that if,
just a breakdown of where it's happening at.
I would say that if you have anybody in your ward that approaches you with such questions, I mean, don't hesitate to just have them give me a call. I'm very open to communication with the public, and if they call me, I'll have a direct conversation with them and let them know what's going on in their neighborhood and address their concerns.
Okay.
So that way we, you know, treat everybody as a person and not be just up here shouting out a bunch of numbers of wards and properties. And it'd be the best way to do it. I just, call me. I'm always there to listen.
I had a gentleman ask me today about that same very thing, and he's made numerous complaints about this certain property. Oh, he said started about 15 years ago. But anyway, he's updated it since then, of course. I asked him, did you ever sign a complaint at City Hall, official complaint? And he said, no, he did not, but he told me he was gonna stop and get one, and he was gonna fill it out. And really, that is the proper way to do this, you know?
Yes,
It is the
yes
proper.
and no. I mean, if you call and talk to me directly, you're still gonna get results. A problem that I run into is I get a lot of people that will call and tell me a problem that's going on at an address, and I'll go and check it, and what they're seeing as a problem isn't technically a violation of our city code. And so I don't have a way to, and then what they do is they forget to leave me a contact number or a way to get back a hold of them. So, you know, if anybody who does call in and leaves messages or whatever in my voicemail, you know, they're encouraged to make sure to leave at least a callback number, because if I can call them back, I can address with them what the condition of the property is and what we can actually do at that time. And if it continues to be a problem, or, you know, then we come back to the council and maybe try to get an ordinance adjusted in some way that we can help that resident out. But I'd say the best thing to do is just give me a call and talk to me, and if I'm not in the office, just leave me a message and leave me a phone number so I can at least get back to you, and let you know what's going on. Or sometimes I show up and there's nothing wrong with the property and they might have given me the wrong address. So that's why a phone number or something is pretty important for follow-up, so I can at least get back to people and let them know what's going on.
But I think, I think, Brian, that I think it's good, that admirable that you want them just to contact you, but if I remember right, and it was probably just, I don't know, maybe in my first year, we kind of went through this whole process where we encouraged people to, you know, write it out. We were trying, even sometimes people who didn't have email, we'd give them the form and even help them write it out. It does document it, and it kind of helps. It helps in those instances when people say, well, I called the police twice, or I did this, or I called my councilman. We did really try to push this where people went through this process. I mean, personally, probably 90% of the time it does work when they talk to you, but we did purposely encourage people to go through that process.
And we
Just
do
for
have those
documentation.
forms are here at City Hall, and it also is on the website
Yeah.
if they can get onto
Yes,
that.
and that helps, just like it does in like on the criminal side and other cases that we work,
Yeah.
to be able to get people's information and actually get something in writing. I mean, that does help our case. But for me, as for code enforcement and the way I handle things, a lot of times I can get the problem solved with a simple conversation done the right way with people. And if people are forced to come in and write something, sometimes those people aren't gonna wanna come in and write it, but yet then they're gonna turn around and they're gonna talk to their neighbors, and they're gonna say, well, nothing's ever getting done.
It's kind of 6 of one,
So, yeah,
half
it's-
dozen of another. And like for grass or tree trimming or something like that, it's probably not a huge deal. But I think we were trying, I think we had a few kind of serious things. I don't remember. Maybe they were more when people had property that was, you know, kind of in need of, you know, some attention. I think maybe we were pressing then, or like for the dog thing or something like that.
Yeah,
But
if we get something that's, you know, your more serious property issues or like the dog type thing, yeah, we definitely do get that information and even ask them, hey, can you write me out a statement with your information, telling me what you're seeing, what you saw, what happened, especially if it comes down to we have to go to court on a civil matter or anything. It's gonna help us, because now we have one more person there and a statement, you know, so we do that for the more serious
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah,
for the simple stuff that we can take care of in a conversation.
okay.
I do wanna, I mean, I agree with you, Mike, we still have the form, it's still there. The purpose of the form was twofold. Understand clearly what the complaint was, and two, document or be accountable to the follow-through on that. The biggest change since then is having Officer Lau doing code enforcement. He's got his own record keeping by virtue of what they do at the PD and their system. So I think we're accomplishing that, even if they don't fill out that form. If they don't
Yeah.
wanna contact Officer Lau, please fill out the form.
Yeah.
We'll still use it,
Yeah,
but
like you said, fill out the form if you don't wanna give me a call, but if you give me a call, like I said, and I at least have a callback number or something, you're gonna get that feedback, and you're gonna know
Right.
what's happening. I'm not just gonna let your number sit there and not
Okay.
get back to you.
Yeah, no, I'm all for less paperwork and all for, you know, more streamlined. And if it's working for the police department, you know, that's great. I just was kinda remembering back to where we were having some issues and so.
And actually,
but-
this week, it actually came into play because there was a gentleman that was complaining about a junk vehicle in the Northeast. And he called a couple different times. I went over and made contact with the residents. I found out the story on this vehicle. And given the circumstances, it doesn't qualify as a junk vehicle. But I had no resource to be able to call this gentleman back and let him know what was going on in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
And just this week, I got one of those sheets in reference to the junk vehicle. And now I have a name and a phone number. So tomorrow, I'm gonna be able to contact him back and let him know what's going on and give him a little bit of closure.
Okay,
So,
good.
And the only thing I'll add is that it helps us when we prosecute a case if we have a real live person there as opposed to an officer. They're real live people, but the magistrates see them all the time. And the magistrates, at least one, I will not name that magistrate, tends to think that we're picking on people. And if I have a real live person there who's being impacted besides the officer, that does help when we prosecute somebody or bring a civil action. So the complaint forms have that purpose as well. It helps us as well.
They're not just for the police department either, they're for every department we have, actually.
Yeah.
yes.
True.
Okay, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
report, appreciate it. Next on the agenda is setting a date for public hearing on the 2016 legislative changes affecting city codes under litter, lien on non-payment, and interference with official acts. This is something that we're mandated that we have to do, so I need a motion to set the date of public hearing as September 26, 2016, to amend the city ordinance.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Grover, seconded by
I will.
Lenius.
This is
Any
just one of those mandatory ones that we have no option, right?
That's pretty much it. So I need a roll call on it also.
Lenius,
Yes.
Swan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Yeah, we have a lot of those, don't we? Next is setting the date of public hearing for September 26 to amend city ordinance for the stop signs requirements.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Did Grover? Okay, second by Holland. I need that as a roll call also.
Swan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next under on the agenda is resolutions. Resolution authorizing and approving a certain loan agreement providing for issuance of $4,810,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, series 2016, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay those.
So moved.
Motion by Holland, second by Hill. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Swan,
You did me last time, but it's a yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried.
She's just checking on you. I know. She found me away.
Next, under a resolution is a motion to approve a resolution for the Iowa Department of Transportation Airport Improvement Program.
Make a motion.
Motion by Grover,
Second.
seconded by Hannah. Any other discussion? Then we need a roll call, excuse
I
me.
think it was in your notes, but can you just give us a little rundown on what exactly this is?
Yes, we had an individual that wanted to put up a private hangar. We have a land lease for the hangar, but there is no taxiway from the hangar to get into to get onto the runway. So we had to do a taxiway widening project. There was an agreement that if we put together this grant application, they would match the local match instead of the city doing it. We have a $69,000 grant from the Iowa DOT Aviation Program for the state fund, which is 85%. We have to pay for the engineering and then the local match.
So this is in fact what we were talking about earlier about just approving the grant. Is that
Well,
correct?
Right. What you're
Okay.
doing with this is you're accepting the grant and acknowledging that you'll follow the grant assurances and the
Okay.
guidelines that they have. It's, I think it's a pretty
Yeah.
no-brainer
It
because
is.
it's a state grant and it is
Okay.
something that's gonna help the airport.
Yep. Okay.
So I need a motion for that resolution?
You got
We have it.
Grover.
Did you?
Oh.
Second.
Oh, we already had that?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just asked the question.
Yeah, that was
You're trying
that.
throwing me off, aren't you, Mike?
Yep.
Okay, so I need a roll call then.
Denny.
Let's start with Denny.
Yes.
I'm being told to start with that.
Yes,
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
and Vaughn.
Do I get to vote
That
Oh,
twice?
she put you on the end this
I
time.
voted once.
I marked you down as yes.
I get to vote twice, Bob.
Good point.
Yeah.
8-8.
Next, I'm down to reports already. I don't think there was any committee reports that I was aware of. Council members, do you want us do any report tonight, Deb, since you're the first one? I can call
Sure.
on you and let you go ahead.
I'd like to thank the public in the fourth ward that went out and voted for myself and for Todd. And Denny's support, Mike's support, the newspapers. You visited with me, Bonnie. Al and Gina visited with me a couple of days. Guess that's about it. Just thank people.
Very good.
You can tell by the atmosphere tonight, you've really cheered things up here. This is one of the best ones we've had.
We
We got through it
welcome,
quite
we
well.
welcome you aboard. Austin, do you have anything?
I'm running in zombie mode right now, so not really.
Okay.
I've got to try
What
and
does
stay awake.
Walmart do when you do that?
Well, I'm
You
going
run on
to
that
I'm
mode
going
all the
to
time.
go to overnights starting tomorrow night to reset our entire grocery department. So I'm trying to pull an all-nighter tonight.
Well, we're gonna have to disappoint you. We're leaving.
No, we're not.
Oh, see, I told you, Bob, I should have talked about everything, so that way we could just stay here all night and use you guys as company to keep me up.
We'd have left.
With you still talking. Okay, thank you. Don, do you have
Nothing.
anything? Come back over to Holland. Do you have anything?
Nothing.
Marius?
No, I would just like to welcome Deb to the council, and other than that, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vaughn?
I just want to welcome Deb to the council also. I'm sure she's gonna work well with everybody. Other than that, everything was good on Third Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Nope, I have nothing, so welcome, Deb.
Okay, thank you. Carter, do you have anything?
Oh, not much. I've been out of commission for, I think, 4 weeks. I'm still not supposed to work for another couple weeks, so if I say something really goofy, it's because I had surgery 4 weeks ago. But I got a new hip, and I feel so much better. I can't tell you how much better I feel. So if you get to the point a doctor tells you to get a new hip, my advice is to get one.
What'd you
And
do with your own?
Well, I just wore it out, I wore it down, I guess. But I also want to congratulate Deb on her, or maybe my condolences to Deb.
You're
You'll,
stuck
Heard
with
that
us.
one.
You're
You'll,
stuck with us now.
You'll find it to be a rewarding job, but you'll be shocked at how much you learn and how much you really can do and how much you can't do. Government is a slow, deliberative process, and it's frustrating at times, but it's great that you had such interest in this election, and I wish you the best of luck in your political career.
He's on drugs when he says he's got a job.
Yeah, take whatever he says with a grain of salt. I'm gonna jump to Dustin. You're about the only department head I see here, if you would like to give a report at this point.
Alright, Mike Lowd, talked about the trees and the shrubs and stuff on the sidewalk. It's something we're pushing now, trying to get that stuff cleaned up. The police department is working with Operation Threshold. They're doing a coat drive for the winter time, so we're gonna have a box in our office for anybody that has extra coats, gloves, hats, stuff like that wanna donate to families in need. They can drop them off at our office and we can take them out to them. In a meeting we had today, Bob, Beatty also said they'd take some, a couple boxes as well, so it looks like there'll probably be some out of Falcon Center here shortly. The other thing that we're doing is we're trying to make sure the officers get out and about more frequently. So I know Captain Brinkham and myself are walking downtown, checking out the different businesses, just walking in and out, talking to them. We set it up so that in the afternoon, the sporting events, officers stop out. We actually, whenever there's a sporting event in Nieder, since he's very active with sports, when he sees one, he'll assign an officer that during that sporting event, officers go out for half an hour or something like that, walk through, make sure everything's good. Just show that we're out there in case anybody needs something while we're there. So just make sure we're out in public more instead of just working on what we have to do, trying to be more sociable with people. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Gina, do you have something?
We're just working through some of our reports required by the state, so you'll be seeing those coming up on the agenda the next several meetings.
Okay. Mr. Berger.
Well, I wanted to thank Gina and her staff for helping out on Friday. We did do door-to-door low to moderate income surveys on Friday, and then we did have an individual helping us on Saturday. We gained another 125 surveys, so I think we're very close. We'll take a look at the map and where these fit, but we may have enough to do the application for the federal funds. To do the entire southwest quadrant of the community, we needed 220 surveys completed. We didn't get that, so we'll have to shrink the project area down a little bit, but we'll know in a couple of weeks whether or not we have a project worth applying for. And this is the federal dollars to help with the water system, water valve upgrades. And so thank you to Gina and her staff for helping out on that, in spite of the rain on Friday. Also, by next week, or hopefully the end of this week, we will have the traffic engineer's recommendation for resynchronizing all of the traffic lights, starting at 5th Avenue, 3rd Avenue, going through downtown, through the intersection at 2nd Avenue Southwest, and also going down 150. The one at 9th Avenue is far enough away to that synchronization really isn't necessary, and likewise the one down at Highway 150, that's far enough away to where it doesn't help to do much synchronization there. But the rest of them should be in place. Dustin and his folks, as well as a couple of our firefighters, helped out with the traffic counts there, and I appreciated that.
And with those surveys, you had a lot of people that refused to even, it was a one-question survey, and we had a lot of citizens that refused to participate in it, so.
I was a little amazed at how many people refused to participate, but, I mean, obviously that's people's choice. It just surprised me for something that was as unintrusive as what it was. But we're gonna see if we have enough, like I said, if we can craft a project out of what we have for information. And it's just about mapping this and taking a look at where does it fit.
Is there a certain timeline on it? I mean, is it what, I guess my question is, and maybe it's not right to do, but if we're short, because maybe people don't understand the value of it, if we're short, maybe we can get together and say, you know, maybe some of us know, you know, kind of like pick a few of these people to those that we know, or we might have a better chance of getting them to do it that way.
Right, and we'll see what we end up with, you know, with these new surveys.
Yeah.
But once we have a better picture of where we're at, we may have to come back and do that. You know, we took several properties off the list because they're vacant properties.
Yeah, sure.
So we don't have to count those, so they don't count against us, for example. Those kinds of housekeeping things will help us out some, but if we don't have a project or a project area that makes sense yet, then yes, we do have to come back and try one more time. I think it's a very important project. I think it's very valuable to the community if we can do a water system improvement using the federal CDBG program as opposed to just putting the burden on our taxpayers and ratepayers. It should help out quite a bit.
So is there a date when that grant has to be in by, or?
Well, they're changing the timing of these grants. Our goal was January, so we have a little bit of time, but we do have to have the project at least have an engineer's estimate on what the project looks like. And I mean, there's quite a bit of work that has to go into it, so we don't have a lot of time right now. We have to get the project identified and take a look at what we can do, you know, within the scope of what we have.
Well, why don't you you guys look at the numbers and see where they come out, and if it's of value for some of us or all of us to go out and, I mean, maybe it's kind of a deal we each only have to get 5 signatures or something, or, you know, five
Right.
surveys done. I mean, it could be, it's not that big a deal.
Well, and no, I appreciate it.
To do.
Like I said, let's take a look at where we end up here, and I'll have a better idea for you.
Okay.
The last thing I have is, there is a new light bulb, a brighter light bulb in the left-hand turn signal on First Street going south on 150. I don't know if anybody's noticed the difference there or not, but thank you to Light and Power. They did go up and put in a new bulb, and I think it's helped. It's not glaring yet, but it is much brighter.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you. I have a couple appointments for committees. I did talk to Deb this weekend and such, and she has agreed to be appointed to the Government Performance and Finance Committee. It's an area that she's interested in, so she'll be on that with Bob and Mike. And then Austin has agreed to be put on the Public Works Committee with John and Don. So those are my 2 committees. This weekend, we had a lot of things going on in the city. I went on Saturday to attended the Arts Under the Oaks. I don't know if any of the rest of you were able to do that or not. It was they had tours of the Lee Mansion. I talked to the different artists that had displays and stuff there, listened to the music, some of the local people that were singing and doing that. Delicious bratwurst and sauerkraut sandwich, but had a lot of fun with that. It was a good day for it. Sunday, I was a little disappointed. We did have our Patriots Day thing here at the fire department. The fire department did a lot of work to get that done for recognition or remembering 9/11. We had a speaker from the Jessup Fire Department, since they had the display over the 4th of July in Jessup of 9/11 and such. And I'm disappointed that more people do not come out to these events. It scares me that people are forgetting that happened and how many people died, and not giving recognition to it. So I hope by next year some people will start paying more attention. The one thing that was interesting to me was to watch the fire department members fold that humongous flag that's always up on top of the aerial fire truck and stuff. It takes about 8-10 people, and they were in tune, almost like a fine-tuned machine stuff, getting that folded in the triangle where it's supposed to be. It was awesome to watch them do that. So I appreciated all the fire department and everybody that helped out with that too. So that's all I have, and I will ask for a motion for adjournment. So a motion by Vaughn, seconded by?
Do it, Deb, do it.
Second.
Thank you, Deb. Don't let these people tell you what to do, Deb. Do it for yourself.
You can so much, but not too much.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carried. Thank you. We're done for the night.